Hello students, welcome to the series on marketing and retail business. Today we are going to study the factors affecting the choice of retail location in India. Now let us study the objective of this study. The basic objective is to study the various factors impacting the choice of location for the retail sector, and we will do a decision analysis to choose the best location within budgets. Now, in this chapter we are going to assess the impact of various factors, diversified factors which impact the choice of location for any investor. Basic factors affecting retail store choices are: first, it has to be considered whether the retail segment is near to home or work area, the strategic importance for sustainable competitive advantage, and difficult to find suitable locations within budget. To set up a retail store is a difficult part for any investor. To find a location which is near to home of the customers, or which is near your home also, or which is near to the work areas of customers, is something which is tedious and which is costly. So, to decide a location which is within the budgets is an analysis which has to be done before bringing up a store in the market. Location analysis is done where macroeconomic level factors are considered. First is calculate the time to reach the store, assess the parking space availability, calculate catchment potential index, investment to be made for site as it impacts return, nearness of complementary stores, and average transaction value within a viable drive or walk time. Now, macro level is the level where you do a larger, or you assess the impact of larger factors which generally impact the micro investments in terms of the cost and in terms of the parking and store design and layout. But before that we have to assess what areas attractive in terms of potential availability of clientele, how if the people buy products they get the complementary products available, how a competitors placed, where the customers footfall is high, what is the value for the money invested, what is the cost of real estate, and the average transaction value within a viable work area. That is, we have to see the catchment areas where we are going to bring up a store. Then let us do the cost benefit analysis, delivery effectiveness in relation to consumer expectations, financing methods available for purchasing or leasing. If interest rate is more than the entire cost, then benefit analysis gets impacted. First we have to think about that what features or what facilities you are going to deliver to customers according to the expectations. If customers are coming to posh areas, they need everything. They need a comfortable parking space, they need pollution free environment, they need decor, they need ambience also. So, one is this, first is analyze this, what are the expectations of consumers, that is according to the level of area you are choosing, the expectations of the customers also varies. And then the financing methods, like what kind of banks are ready to offer you or what kind of financial institutions you can tie up. Then we are going to do a cost analysis where we have to calculate even the interest rate for the investment, because we when we do business we calculate returns which has to be higher than the interest rate, otherwise you will be in a loss. Then let us do the trade area analysis. What is retail market? It is a place where any group of individuals who possess the ability, desire and willingness to buy retail goods or services come together. Retail trade area is one geographical area within which retail customers reside or work. Customer profile is a segment of the people within in such geographical areas necessary to serve through the store as target market. So, we have to decide what is a retail market. Actually, you have to select a place where actually customers come. We cannot sit in isolated zones or areas where nobody is coming and nobody is looking at us. Then retail trade area will be a geographical area where retail customers do reside, they are staying or they are working, like it could be the office areas, it could be the school areas where stationery shops and where photo state shops are available, a market which is related to academic work develops there, or people if they are working in office, most of the restaurants and the rest areas would come up. And if it's a proper city market, most of the parking space and access to transportation sector, fruits, vegetables, everything gets connected. So these are the different kinds of market areas available where you can decide how we are going to do a cost analysis, what will be the investment, and how customers are going to connect to us. Retail trade area would be area where actually customers are available, and the customer profile would be according to their level of spending or the purchasing power. That is, whether the customers are rich or poor or middle class, we are going to select the merchandise. Consumer characteristics of the area. The population characteristics of the consumers are the gender, education, occupation, age, income, and family characteristics. We are going to decide what kind of goods we are selling to the consumers, and according to the gender and the income level and their characteristics, we are going to sell or select the merchandise available. If we are living in a traditional areas, we are going to select traditional clothes for consumers because they are not going to wear the most ultra urban clothes. And if you are in a urban area, you are going to select the clothes which are more fashionable. Now let us consider the economic factors. Unemployment will affect purchasing power in that area. Per capita income data helps in projecting demands for various merchandise. Economic stability of an area can estimate from household incomes and expenditure patterns. Buying power index and effective buying incomes are also calculated. Now, the macroeconomic analysis is important. Macroeconomic analysis basically gives you the indexes related to particular area. If a country is rich or if economy is rich, that means people are employed, they are prosperous, they are earning more. So, they have higher purchasing power derived from the wages they get. This wage or incentive which is available to the employees comes as a purchasing power converted from the money earned in form of disposable income. Higher is the disposable income resultant from less taxation structure of the government will enhance the potential power of people to buy. The prosperity of the Indian markets is increasing, where most of the people are now becoming more fashionable and more modern and trying to collect and use goods which increase the comfort level of the life. The economic stability in terms the industries are developed, and there is less turmoil in the market. That is, if there is recession, the purchasing power of the people will go down. The index basically is the standard of the living of people. The buying power index is derived from the per capita income and the living standards. Higher is the per capita income and higher is the standard of living of the people in any area or in any economy would be directly proportional to the sales crystallized. Now let us do the trade area analysis. In this, we are going to consider economic, infrastructural, cultural, competitive, and trade area needs to be analyzed in a way to consider all these diverse factors. What are economic factors? Economic factors are the availability of expenses, the availability of income, and even the interest and the passion of people to invest. If people are not consumer oriented in terms where consumption levels are low, obviously the retail sectors will have less propensity to sell. It is the changing habits of the people, more ability to connect with the segment, that is increasing your consumption levels would only enhance the retail index. The infrastructure facilities relate to the parking spaces, the roads, the electricity, and the water availability in that particular area. If facilities are available at a cheaper cost, more investment in terms of trade and business can come up. Cultural factor basically relates to the religion and the ideas and the ideology on which consumers try to design their lifestyles and search the products according to their perceptions and thinkings. They need to connect with the culture of their own country where they are going to get educated, get married, and bring up children. So, all these events and ceremonies do require support of products and support of many services, which is generally supplied by the retail sector. The competitive environment is the availability of competitors, the availability of the suppliers who generally form a chain to support a particular segment and an industry to grow in a better way. The trade area analysis also involves the analysis of the land area population, age distribution and household size, marital status and family size, owner occupied housing and rental status, departure time for work and occupation, income types and poverty status, schools, religion, language spoken, working women and fertility rates, vehicle owners and telephone subscribers, and TV ownership. So, all these factors do give an indication that what kind of population is living in a particular area. Even if area has more working women, they are going to buy more to bring more convenience and comfort to their life. So, the retail segment in terms of consumption would display the goods which are sold in that particular area, the income, the vehicles, the schools, the education, the standard of living would certainly require support of certain goods specifically connected to each aspect of the living, and each aspect needs a support of a good retail segment, because retail segment is also a service segment, where service segment is like if you are supporting the subscription of telephone users and supporting the subscription of TV channels also is a part of retail service. So, this basically enhances the business. Geo-demographic models. Individuals with similar needs are identified to define target market so that merchandise can be stocked accordingly. In this, we select a particular area and individuals who have similar needs, they are going to be identified and they are going to be calculated, like what is the number of people and how much investment they are going to do. On the basis of this, we collect the goods and try to stock, because this model will help you to connect to a local zone and cater to their needs. Let us study the retail index for the market. RMP, that is the retail market potential. This is total sales value of its products or product lines from all stores of a particular retail trade area. RSP, that is the retail sales potential, that is the expected sales volume which is present within the trade area as a part of RMP, that is retail market potential. Retail sales forecast, that is RSF, is the expected sales volume. Now, there are certain index where experts of the industry do calculate the RMP and the RSP, that is what is the market potential. Market potential is the total potential of the area and how much a particular segment is going to basically sell, or how much a particular retail segment would be able to connect with the customers. So, this will give you the sales potential of a particular product for a particular investor. Components of market potential: number of potential consumers in a given area, amount of money the consumers spend for products or product line, population statistics as studied in form of per capita income and per household income. Now, to study the components of retail market potential, if a very big company like a multinational company is coming up, then it is easy for them to get the statistics, because we have the data available from the ministry, we have data available from the statistical organizations also. See, when Reliance was launching Jio, they had the basic figure of how many people are using mobiles, what is the population of this country, how many users can be connected, how many new users can be converted if prices go down, and how the rural segment can be connected. So, if this data is available, they can bring about an investment, and this investment, if is done properly and marketed properly, they can increase the physical sales through the stores and online sales through the websites, with Jio as a part of a case study in Indian retail mobile subscription is a successful study, where you can see how the company started with the free services and has gathered over the years a number and a million of customers who are giving lot of business to the company, and it has given a stable position for Jio to survive in the market. Now, let us study location strategy. In this, we will study index of retail saturation. It examines level of competition and retail sales in a given geographical area to measure competitive saturation, that is total square meter of retail space existing and the potential. Now, sometimes there is saturation, that is you have to calculate what is area available, how many shops can be designed and how much they can sell, because if the number of consumers related to that particular area are not more, you cannot come out with more shops and create more customers as the population is less. Now, let us study the micro environmental factors. In this, we have to study the store ambience and design, merchandising, personnel, store features and visual merchandising. Now, microeconomic factors or environmental factors would relate to the ambience in the field, the facilities and the variety of goods. Variety of goods which you create is known as merchandise. The availability of merchandise would also attract the customers and increase the retail potential of a particular area. Types of store locations. You have to choose store locations as per target audience, kind of merchandise to be sold. So, there are two factors on which you choose location. Example, convenience store would not be suitable near expensive jewelry and fashion stores. Freestanding isolated store are part of the business district where good accessibility through transport from all parts is available. Example, Connaught Place in Delhi or Colaba in Bombay. High rental charges and high facilities for parking are always a problem in this type of store locations. Now, what area you are choosing impacts the availability of merchandise and the customers you have. If you have daily goods, you cannot generally sit at high end areas, because convenience stores are not in very posh fashion stores. You have to go for convenient locations, general stores or departmental stores, and if you have freestanding stalls, you can take up costly locations, but here the shops are costly. So, you can come out with your own huts or your own free vending machines where the rental charges and parking spaces is problem. So, you can open small stores in these areas. Isolated or freestanding location is without any competitive stores around, or here rental charges are low, facilities for parking are ample, advertising for such location stores is high to draw customers for the store visit. Example is stores plus petrol pumps and hotels come fast food chains on highways. When you come with isolated stores and locations, this is the stores available when you are traveling, that is you have no customer as such residing there, because it is a road structure connecting the two cities, but highway customers who are traveling on roads are available because they are waiting and they need drinking water and food to survive. So, these kinds of locations which are on roads when you travel, like if you have a petrol pump and here you have a store, if people are stopping, they can see the goods and buy something. So, this could be a small quantity of goods, or it could be cheap goods which could be sold. Here you cannot keep costly goods like TV or fridge, or luxury goods cannot be sold from these stores, but the daily convenient items could be sold. So, this is also one area of retail segment which is doing well on highways. Nature of location decision. Strategic importance of location decision is a long term commitment for cost. Impact on investments, revenues and operations need a serious concern. Supply chains need to be developed. Objectives of location decisions are impacted by profit potential. No single location is good than others. Identify several locations before choosing the best. Location options is expand the existing facilities, add new facilities and move on. Now, nature of location decisions is a serious study where you have to study the long term impact, because your cost which you are investing is in crores of rupees. So, you have to see what is the return and how you can develop the supply chains to get goods with low transportation cost. What is the profit which is available over here, and no single location is totally idle. So, you can develop a shop, create facilities, add on, diversify, and if you develop to potential, you can always upgrade and move yourself to the higher locations. Location decision factors basically depends on the regional factors, the community consideration, the site related factors and multiple plant strategies. Now, regional factors basically are the geographical factors, because here the weather conditions, the temperature and the availability of population statistics, everything is considered. So, regional factors depend and decide the development of the area, and according to the development your investment in shop is decided. Community consideration, what kind of community is available, what is their income, how they can purchase and connect. Site related is where the site is it posh, it is medium or it is low rated. So, the site would also decide the convenience and would also decide the investment level. Multiple plant strategies is your connection to many projects, and the factories and the industries is also important. Regional factors basically relate to location of raw materials, location of markets, labor factors, climate and taxes. So, regions are basically developed on the basis of the population. If the population is standardized, they are more good investors who develop the supply chains, who develop the industries, who develop the factories. If we consider Jodhpur as an area of growth, here the investments in handicrafts is high. So, the industrial areas which are developing and creating handicrafts, they are giving supply chains also, where the craftsmanship in terms of painters and in terms of scrap is also doing well. And here you have good retail decor shops also, where things are available with lot of variants and variety, because here the export potential is developed. So, you get a lot of variety related to furniture also in most of the local stores. So, the supply chain is developed in a particular area would impact the availability and the ambience of the store. Location of the market is decided by the infrastructure, the concern of the government, the subsidies available, and obviously the investors attention and attraction. Labor availability, if the labor is cheap, the segment is going to prosper, and if the climate is favorable, it will develop the potential. Community consideration basically impacts the quality of life, services, attitudes, taxes and environmental regulations. Retail stores would do well if the community is rich and it has a quality of life to be lived on, where they need everything to decide and get concerned for little details of the life, the services which they are using, the attitudes towards consumption and saving, and the attitudes how they pay taxes also impacts the living standards. Walmart as a retail segment has emerged in the most developed country of US, because here the consumers have high propensity to consume. The high propensity to consume has been generated by the good standard of living which people are used to. They need a good quality of life, so they spend more, and because of this spending, Walmart has been able to develop a model which is working on most of the lowest margins in the world. That is, they source materials from farmhouse and give to the consumers at a very basic margin. Now, the site related factors is the availability of land, the transportation, environmental and the legal concerns. Sometimes the land quality in terms of price and in terms of the connectivity also poses a great challenge and an issue. Transportation, availability of public transportation, unavailability of good highways or good roads to connect to the market is also a challenge. Environmental regulation in terms where you need to see what is the pollution level, what are the traffic jams, how well managed it is, what is the level of investment in the greenery in terms of gardens and in terms of ambience and layout, and what is the concern of the government to pose laws in relation to environmental. Legal is your lease cost, your registry, and the taxes which you pay for acquiring the stores. Now, let us study the service and retail locations. Manufacturing organizations are cost focused, but retail organizations are revenue focused. See, in manufacturing we have to reduce the cost to run a very big organization, but in retail organization, since the cost is low, we will focus on revenues. Here the traffic volume and convenience is important. The demographics of age, income and education has to be studied. Location is important. Good transportation and customer safety. So, retail segment basically works in a very different way as compared to the manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector is big, where the cost, investment, gestation period is very high. So, here the expenditures and cost has to be minimized. But in retail, when if it is a service organization, basically here service is labor oriented. So, cost is low, but here you have to work hard to earn revenues. Globalization focuses on facilitating factors of trade agreements and technology. Benefits is markets grow, cost is saved, legal and regulatory framework is clear and systematic, and financial aid is available. Now, let us evaluate the locations. We do a cost and profit volume analysis, where we determine the fixed and the variable cost and plot total cost, determine the lowest total cost. Now, when we do a cost and a profit analysis, we are going to plot the cost, that is what is the level of investment in each activity, and how do we try to overcome this cost, what could be the basic substitutes available, how do we try to change this in a way where we try to come to a figure of a total cost which is lowest and which is optimum and which gives the best service to the customer. Location cost volume analysis focuses on fixed costs are constant, variable costs are linear, output can be closely estimated, only one product is involved. Here this is the assumption. You can only calculate the best cost if your product is only one, that is for each product you can calculate, and then you can see that the variable costs are linear. As you increase the operation, the variable cost is going to change, whereas fixed cost is going to remain constant. Evaluating location depends on various models. One is the transportation model, then is the factor rating model, and the center of gravity method model. Transportation model decision is based on movement of cost of raw materials and finished goods from the supply sources or vendors to the retailers. Factor rating is decision is based on quantitative and qualitative inputs. Center of gravity method is decision is based on minimum distribution cost. So, we apply all the methods and the models and try to see how do we choose the best location, that is factors which are qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative require cost and investment and budgets in terms of purchasing the location. Qualitative is the services, the inputs, the ambience, the design and the trust and the credibility, the status, everything is qualitative. Now, let us study the summary of this lecture. The choice of location depends on market potential growth. The cost of infrastructure and consumer attractiveness to specific areas also impacts the choice of investors. The cost and returns is the major criteria for bringing good stores in any particular area. If we want to get the retail sector organized and if we want the retail sector to do good, we need to focus on cost, and of course, the success of any location of a retail sector depends only on one factor, that is the location. Thank you, students.